Mikee P back on the In the Money Media YouTube channel. We got the Virginia Derby this weekend. Kentucky Derby points on the line. And one of the coolest dudes in racing, a guy that I love catching up with, is going to be there to give coverage for the race. Mr. Kevin Kilroy in the house, back with me. Kevin, haven't seen you in a minute, but good to catch up.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, wait a minute, when's the last time I talked to Mikee? I'm not sure. So I think it's been a little bit, but thanks for thinking of me. Thanks for thinking of Colonial Downs. And it's fun stuff, man. I think this is my 7th time back in Virginia at Colonial Downs. I was just thinking about it as I was walking around Richmond. And Richmond's a kick-ass city. It's a great city. It's a surprising city, historic city. And it's just a 30-minute drive, and you're right there in the coastal forests of New Kent. So I'll be out there tomorrow morning, bright and early, and try to catch some of the good weather tomorrow before it gets a little dicey the rest of the day. Yeah, man, this is fun stuff. This is the time of year where it's fun to see these 3-year-olds develop, and I like this. I like this race. I like it better than the field that we had last year. So that's fun, and I think we can bring a prize home in this one.
Yeah, we had the coach last year come through with American Promise, and that horse took some buzz in the Derby, and it certainly took a little bit of money there. A lot of people, it's Wise Guy horse shipping into the Derby last year. It's still not a graded race, but 50 Derby points to the winner of the Virginia Derby. And Kevin, we got the Mile and Eighth going one turn.
Yep.
Certainly a configuration that's really not seen anywhere else outside of. We'll see what the new Belmont brings, but other than that, really, that doesn't happen anywhere.
No, it's interesting. I mean, I think, we'll get into one of these runners, when you are stretching out and you are used to one turn. I think it's a nice little middle way, kind of getting met in the middle in terms of not being fully tasked with 2 turns. American Pharoah ran huge last year, bounced after that race. I think we've got a good group. I'm not sure if we got the Derby winner in here, but we definitely have a nice group of 3-year-olds.
Well, we're going to start. Let's take a quick look at the field here. And they're going for 500,000. And Mr. Baffert shows up. He certainly never lacks 3-year-olds looking to jump into the Derby. And Butane here is the morning line favorite, second in the San Vicente. So happy, really didn't flatter that form over the weekend, but showed up in the Southwest and raced okay, I thought, against Silent Tactic. Did a lot of dirty work in that spot. Mr. Pratt shows up also, so a lot of money will find this horse. But do you think that really this is what he wants to do? I talked to Nick Tamero last week. He doesn't think so. He thinks his horse is a sprinter.
Well, he's stronger late kick, in terms of his late pace figures going shorter. But, you mentioned it. He did a ton of dirty work in that last race, and his gallop out was impressive. So that was something that I'm like, man, I don't want to like a short price horse, right? But Butane, the rail can be very good. Inside posts and go into the front is very effective at Colonial Downs. So, I mean, I think that's something to consider. You just, I don't know. I mean, Baffert, what's he saying? He's saying Butane was a little bit chunky last out there, and he should be tighter for this one. Watching a recent drill with him and Desert Gate, he went well. Desert Gate's definitely a good morning worker. Didn't run that well in the afternoon in his last race. But Butane, will he win? Maybe. Price is going to be too short to touch for sure. And distance questions. But I think the gallop out for me after going that fast and, really knocking heads with Soldier and Diplomat and Decode, that sprinter who he was pressing. I think that let me think that he could stay on and he can get this mile and an eighth. So I think we can beat him, though, on the top spot, but I wouldn't want to beat him top 3.
So you think he jumps to the lead here? Do you think that that's the way that Pratt's going to want to play this? There's some other speed in here. I think this
here. Yeah, it's it. I mean, it's all sort of forward, not a ton of like true front run blazing quick gate speed, right? But a lot of forward horses in here, and that's a big question mark. I mean, I think so. With Grittiness, we'll see if Epic Desire. I mean, just his immediate outside company up to High Camp in the 5-hole. I think is going to give him the lead. I think he's going to take it. And Pratt on the lead is just, he knows how to get it done up there. So you got to think that he wants to jump at that occasion.
You mentioned Grittiness, the 2. That one was against the racetrack. Certainly we heard, if you're following the internet at all, the aqueduct speed bias and the rail bias was quite prevalently discussed. This guy, he showed up for the Withers and ran into Talk to Me Jimmy, who raced basically a hole through the wind that day while being on the bias. He was from off the pace, ended up second. The numbers are low, but maybe the one turn suits his style a little bit.
Well, yeah, he had an excuse, I thought, in that last race. He was, a beat slow, and I liked to see that he was trying to get into the race, but he just started eating tail, and had to steady and settle in the back. So with the cleaner break, maybe a little learning moment in the last race, and not having to have that trouble in the race. I think Grittiness is interesting underneath. I mean, he came on nice. He beat the top two betting choices for that second spot. He did get beat by 11 lengths. There's no way he was going to run down. Talk to Me, Jimmy. I mean, I don't want anybody at that race, to be honest. I don't think it was a strong race. But I think the market will play it like that too. And I think Grittiness is that type of key and third horse. If you play the supers, using third and fourth, because the price could be really right on Grittiness. Had an excuse last out, 1 1/8. He at least finished gamely. It wasn't a strong late pace figure or anything like that. But I thought that the fact that he ran 1 1/8 and he got second over the top two betting choices made me think that he can get a piece in here.
Yeah, watching that back too, it almost looked like he may have sort of brushed the rail or even bounced off of it there early and then ended up in the back. So he raced okay. He was against the racetrack. You got Fletcher, Rapoli. They show up in these spots. They want as many as they can get in the gate in Kentucky. So we'll see if this one can grab some points in this spot. A couple long shots here, Kevin. The 3 and the 4, Epic Desire and Work, both 15 and 20-1 on the morning line. Epic Desire racing that Sam Davis. The Puma came out of that to win the Tampa Derby, so that looks like an okay piece of form. We have a few horses coming out of that spot, but again, I do think both of these maybe will need to improve stepping in here.
Yeah, Epic Desire, Mikey, well, I'm hearing that he might not be running, that he might go to the Jeff Ruby. We'll see if that's the case. That's the sort of murmur that I'm hearing from people outside the track, so nobody in the racing office or anything like that. So I don't want to say he's not running, but that's what I'm hearing, which is too bad. I mean, I would have preferred him over Grittiness. He's been working nicely with Renegade. He really has. And, with Fletcher, the way he kind of sets up his works is like an every other, or not every other, but like a leapfrog. They each get confidence in the race. In the work. One goes to the forward, the other one goes forward. They kind of go back and forth. So some of that that I'm seeing from Epic Desire and going with Renegade might be just by the design of the works, but still, he's going very nicely and evenly with one of the top ones for Fletcher. Yeah, he beat a couple horses with Troubled Trips. We'll talk about it a little bit more with Oselli and Confessional. Coming from off of it, I think he's got more to show. You can see that they're trying turf. So I'm looking at this horse. I'm like, I can see why they might think Synth could be good for this Uncle Mo. So we'll see if he runs in this spot. My guess is that he won't, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Doug O'Neill ships Work out off a 6.5 furlong win at Santa Anita. This one gets back to the dirt. He really didn't like it when he was on it early in his career. Big long shot here.
Yeah, a complete toss, right? I mean, Doug O'Neill surprises at prices, and it could be fun to use underneath, but I'm just tossing Work. It was not an impressive maiden score, going 6.5 in the shoot, just grinded to barely get the win, not a strong gallop out. What I've started to notice is Calumet Farm, they're always game to try their horses on the dirt. It just seems like that is just such a part of the program for the ownership group. And, we're finding Work in this spot. So shipping across country, stretching out. Yeah, he's a toss for me. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, he has faced some real horses like Plutarch, Mr. AP, Cherokee Nation. All those horses are nice horses, right? I mean, he's been in tough, but this spot, I just think that he would really have to improve to do something here. But he might provide some speed in here. Certainly has shown speed sprinting. He could make some of the others work, ironically, in here. So we'll see how that works out for him.
Yeah, I think that's one thing to keep in mind when you're capping this race. Keep your eye on the track. If it is playing forward, if it is playing inside, then you're really going to see a lot of these horses sort of try to get to the front, and they might not be contenders, but they might really break up the race. So that's something definitely to keep in mind.
The next is High Camp, and this is a guy that I'm interested in your opinion on because I like him in this race. I like that maiden win. Quite a goofy race that he comes out of there on February the 7th at Gulfstream. He sort of grinded along on the outside. He was favored in there. A couple long shots, made big moves around the turn, and the favorites looked dead. And then he re-rallied down the middle of the racetrack. You got William Walden showing up, and his horses are always live, always well-manned. I do think a stretch out will loom large for this horse also. He would be my pick in here. What say you?
Yeah, I'm on him too. The price though, 9-2, is that what we're going to get on him? Obviously he was bent down to favoritism in that last race. So he's my price prohibitive pick. I thought that was very impressive. I mean, when those closers made that early move and they came over the top of him, it was right when he was trying to make his move pass in the turn, midway through the turn. And I thought he was done. I was watching this race closely. I was betting this one. And the fact that he was able to come back again, which we really saw in his debut race. I mean, it was a Waymark, right? Cox's horse, who he had to sort of shift out. He had the rail, had the lead, shift out and make another bid, and he wasn't going to beat him that day, but it's great to see him again re-engage. Now, there's a question mark for me. Does he sort of need somebody to chase? If so, I think he's got it with Butane on the inside, Johnny V stalking on the outside. I mean, what other, perfect setup do we want for Johnny V? So High Camp looks good on Thorograph, looks good in speed figures. I thought that was a good race. I thought Growth Equity was very good for Chad Brown. We're going to see Easem earlier in the card for Brad Cox. I thought it was a good race to come out of. Distance won't be a problem. Working sharp. High Camp. I mean, if 9-2, I think is an underlay on him, coming up from the maiden ranks. But I do think that he's a game horse that you got to use. I really was impressed by the way he was able to come back after those closers rallied over the top of him last out.
One thing that was also interesting, I talked to Will Humphrey earlier today, and he's obviously down at Palmettos. He works for Grand Motion. He said that Johnny's been coming in and working this horse regularly. So the fact that you have a couple Fletchers in here, and yet Johnny's, maybe this is the horse he thinks is his Derby horse. He's making the trip, working this horse in the morning. You have some powerful connections. I would think that it's all systems go here for High Camp. So just another little nugget there to maybe point people in his direction for Saturday.
Yeah, that's good.
The 6 is Lock, Stock, and Pharaoh. This horse, I think you would think would be maybe better than Jeff Ruby. Also, interesting that they're entered in here. Maybe they want the dirt. Kevin, are you hearing anything about this one? 2 speedy wins. The last with Lasix. What's your thoughts on him?
Yeah, I asked a little about this one, and again, not from the racing office, so nothing official. But it sounds like he's coming. Okay. That he's coming to the Virginia Derby, and because my first blank read was like. Yeah, why not just stick with the scent? Which is great because I love having horses to toss. I think Lock, Stock, and Pharaoh didn't look very good in that win. His presser just sort of dropped anchor, early in the far turn, and he had a nice setup, a little bit loose after that. He was green in the stretch. He looked like he was tiring, kind of climbing. Didn't beat much. And then, you can watch the work up on KentuckyBred.org going with Magic Escapade on the 7th, I believe it was. It was abysmal. I mean, just got smoked. It was a really bad work. So maybe he wakes up on the dirt. Maybe that's what they're thinking, that he's got more talent than he's showing on the 7th. American Pharaoh, $50,000 Nyquist on the bottom. Distance shouldn't be a problem, but I'm tossing Lock, Stock, and Pharaoh.
Yeah, and this is one that I think will take a little money in the race. I mean, people see those ones, they see those improving figures, and maybe they're not digging the way that we're digging. I do think that this horse will take a bet in this race. I'm not sure that he'll be lower than horses like High Camp, but I do think that this one certainly will take money if he does show up in here.
Yeah, that'd be great if he did.
The 7 is Incredible, and this one was looking good on the Derby Trail. His 2-year-old season, nice win in the street sense. Showed up in the Holy Bull and didn't run a step. Now, obviously, that was just too bad to be believed, Kevin. And now they're back in here. You get the one turn, you get the one run type closing horse. What's your thoughts on him? Can you forgive the last race?
I could forgive it. He's not the only horse that I've heard that really, specifically this meet has just has not been able to grab that track at Gulfstream. There's been a few other ones, talented horses waiting for big performances and have just really run poorly. So, I mean, he just didn't do much at all. Mikey, it's hard to think through this race completely. I mean, I mean, if we can buy that narrative that, hey, he just really didn't take to the track. He was on the rail too. The rail was bad that day at Gulfstream on the 31st. You know, he's going to have, you can tell yourself that he's going to have tons of energy. He didn't expend any energy in that performance, right? So he's going to have all of it, right? There's maybe a few of these who last race, that was maybe their race. But also, what did he get out of that race? He didn't get anything in terms of learning, right? In terms of fitness, except for just like basically a workout. So, I mean, I think he's dangerous. I loved him, you know, in his maiden win and in the street sense. I was watching him work at Churchill. I was, you know, I love this horse. I made money on this horse. And so I'm a little bit torn. You know, I've got a little bit of my heart with Incredible, and I'm just trying to get that out of the equation. I think he's going to be shorter than 10-1, and I think he's going to be a touch of an underlay. I mean, I think 12-1, 15-1 is what we want to see. And if so, I might give him a little bit of money on the win side of things. But I think he's going to take some action. I think people are going to buy the narrative. If the pace did heat up and the track's playing fair, he looks sensational down the center of the track in the street sense. He really closed great. He's proved himself to have that really nice sustained move. So Incredible. I believe that he didn't love the track. I'm not sure what he got out of that race, but talking to Riley, you know, he's showing it in the mornings, double gallop outs, just tons of energy, tons of talent is there. So what are you going to do? Incredible, off the pace. Will they give us a good price? I think that's the big question about him. But I buy that he just didn't like Gulfstream's track. That's for sure.
I do think one thing, Kevin, with him is he would be a horse that would play well in multis because, you know, a lot of people will get locked into Baffert here and some of these others. I do think Confessional will take a fair amount of money in those. Yeah. If you can get Incredible down, even if he is, you know, say a little bit short in the win pool, I do think he'll play well in multis. So, and you make a pretty good case for him. If you can certainly forgive the last race, and why not? I mean, yeah, this is the time, and he's going to show himself to be what he is this time. And if not, then he'll probably be looking for something else to do, maybe a 1X allowance race type of thing, or maybe a shorten up, something like that. But now might be the time to get him, because if he does race well, then we'll see what his prospects are going forward. But one that I think you want to include if you like him in multis for sure.
I agree. There's 3 horses I'll be alive to in the multis, and he's one of them.
Yates and the 9, Confessional and Oselli, both ran together. You mentioned in that Sam Davis, both had troubled trips. Confessional was well thought of coming in there, was sub 3-1, was on the rail the entire way around the racetrack. That necessarily was not the place to be there. Renegade made that big move on the outside to win. My question is was it the trip that got him? Because he just sort of stopped in the stretch, and now Pratt is elsewhere. Now, Irad's here, so it's not exactly a huge downgrade. And then we know Oselli got stopped in that Sam Davis when he was making his move. Both come out of troubled trips. Both have very sharp barns. Do either one of these 2 horses catch your eye on the win end?
Yeah, I mean, both of them have excuses. Oselli's got a laundry list of excuses. Confessional, I mean, he got cut off, absolutely, by Wayne's Law, the Puma. It was a traffic jam as he was cutting the corner. He was in tight in the turn. He was in a tough spot throughout there, Mikey. I thought he really was. I think Confessional deserves a pass for that race. They're just not going to give us a price, and especially in multi-race wagers. It's just whether it's the Cox or the Baffert, the will pays are just going to be, unless you're getting big bombs elsewhere, unless you've got really good, strong value opinions elsewhere, these horses are just going to be big time underlays. So I think, he's one of these horses that has a legitimate excuse, but excuses and short prices don't mix. So Confessional, second time going on, blinkers back on. Saw him work recently with, what was this horse's name? This is a horse that you want to bet, running at Gulfstream this weekend. Boom, 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 boom. Where did I write it? Of course, I'm not going to find it here. Long story. I'll find it here while we're talking about the next one. But that horse had tons of energy in the gallop out and put Confessional to shame late in the work. I don't know how you want to put too much stock in that. But yeah, short price, definitely contender in here. Confessional, I think, has an excuse.
Well, I know you watch a lot of works, Kevin, and then you base a lot of your wagering on that. So you have a negative workhorse on a short price. I mean, that's another thing. You're doing more work. You're going that extra mile when you see stuff like that. I mean, is he on any ticket for you?
Verticals underneath, I
Okay.
think is the play for him. I mean, because I do like Dazzling Dame in the Oaks, so it's not a double play where I want to do spread and use confessional. Dazzling Dame, maybe not the favorite, but be second choice in the Oaks. So yeah, I'm going to use him underneath. That's my top 3 picks in there. Final story, and not necessarily a negative on confessional. He was good all the way around, but final story at the end, he showed that sort of the reserves that you want to see from one of these Cox horses. He'll be dangerous for his debut. He hadn't even raced yet.
Any love for the maiden Ocelia?
Yeah, I've been backing him 3 races in a row now. And trouble trip. Whit put the blinkers on. He thought he was going to get more forward. That's not what he's been able to do. He's had wide posts. He has another wide post today. He was making a bold move last out in the Sam F. Davis. And Renegade came over the top of him, and he got stopped and checked. So another excuse. He keeps on finding trouble. It's hard to love that, but he's also improving in terms of his form and his figures, specifically looking at Thoroughgraph. So Ocelli, will he put it all together? They've always loved him, Mikey. They really have. The barn has just thought he's keeps on deserving shots at Derby preps, even though he's a maiden. So can Ramos figure out the track? Can he get him in a better spot than Centeno? Ramos was supposed to ride him last out, but he didn't get his license in Florida. They wouldn't license him. So, Centeno was a sort of a last minute move to get him aboard. Yeah, we've got to use Ocelli. I think the talent's there. Even though he hasn't been winning, his form has been progressing, and he deserves a shot with a clean trip.
Clocker Special rounds out the field, chips in from Oaklawn, and was game last time against Honey's to Blame. Now that one came back and maybe was a little overmatched coming out of that race in the Rebel, but this one is speedy, has to come off Lasix, does have the outside post. Another one that needs to improve. It's certainly well bred, though. I do think that it's just like any of the rest of them. Can they step up as the distances get longer?
Yeah, it's always keeping good company, older company, Password, Fast Town, some good ones for Rudy. And yeah, he thought maybe he'd be good with that win at Ellis Park. He got worn down by Honey's to Blame and Arkansas bred. Kenny McPeak, Arkansas bred, can these horses keep on coming at you? Who was 67-1, next out in the stake and ran horrible. So I know. I mean, all regressions out of that race. Absolutely a negative key race for me. Clocker Special. Toss them. Let's get rid of them. I love having hard tosses, and I feel like I've got this in this race. So I'm gonna be diving in as a bettor, that's for sure.
Well, final thoughts on this Virginia Derby, and I'm not going to let you get out of here without some undercard picks, but you said you'd be alive to 3. Yep. So who you got for this year?
High Camp, Incredible, and Ocelli. I think those 3, as you're mentioning, in the multis, will offer value. And then I'm going to sit there and just perch, in terms of the pools and see how they're betting them. I think I'm not going to worry about live money on any of these. A little bit chilly if we're opening up at 30-1 and stay, south of that might be a little bit dissuasive that something's going wrong with the horse. But those 3 for me, if I had to put one on top, it is High Camp. I do think that was very impressive to see him overcome that. And I think the Johnny V signal is there for sure, like you're mentioning.
Yeah, High Camp for me also in that Virginia Derby. Hopefully he can stretch out, race well. William Walden in the Derby would be fantastic. Can't let you get out of here, Kevin, without some undercard looks for Colonial on Saturday. Where's a couple spots you want to look?
Yeah, I mean, just a few to give serious consideration to. Firster for Will, Beijing. He's got 2 in there. Tilson, wait to go long. Beijing is live on debut. So the number 4 in the first, just 5 horses in there, and there'll be some money behind them, no doubt about it. But that's one I think you can sink your teeth into. I'll single to start the early pick 5. Cox's Ease 'em, I thought ran very big in that high camp race and just went fast and couldn't sustain it. So second out, the barn didn't think he would win on debut, but I think that he can win in this spot. Just a little bit more distance there for his first try. Bigger field, so you should be able to get, I don't know, 2-1 possibly would be, I think, fair for me on the 6. Ease him in race 4. And then Riley, I do think definitely has a winner on this card. I think it's Her Laugh. I don't know if you've been watching her races.
Yeah.
She's been thrown in with the Wolves in terms of a grade 1 and a grade 2. And it was a relatively slow pace that she was in the back of, just taking kickback at Gulfstream and the inside information. You could see it, visually, that she was just trying to get away from it, distancing back. Jose was trying to do the best he could to get her away from it. And she still came with a big late run. She wasn't disheartened. She's working very well. I do think that she can take this field, and I would love to see 9-2. So Her Laugh, Johnny V, Riley Mott. I think Johnny's going to have a big day. I do. I think with Flavian, Irad, I think Johnny's going to come out on top with the best wins in terms of the stakes action.
Yeah, lots to like, I think, with Her Laugh. And grand job, galloped in that race on the inside information there. And that was, on the Pegasus card. But this, Will made another good point on this one earlier in the day with they had to van to California for the La Brea because of the flight issues.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, and the 1-turn mile, I think, will suit this one very well. So, I mean, that seems like sort of looking at the others here, and she's going to benefit most from that, just that extra furlong, this configuration, this post. I'd love to get 9-2. I don't know if we'll get it, but that is a fantastic look there, and that's race number 6 on Saturday. It's Her Laugh. Big push from Kevin here on this Virginia Derby card. Well, Kevin, this was awesome, honestly. I feel like we covered a lot of ground. Very, very detailed look at that Virginia Derby. We got a couple spots to look at. We'll enjoy having you certainly on the broadcast, and we'll be checking you out.
Thank you, Mikey. Good hanging, man. I appreciate it. Let's make some money.
This has been a production of In the Money Media. Jump in on these Derby preps. Get in on the Virginia Derby. We got 3-day meet here. We got Thursday, Friday, Saturday this week. We'll see you all next time. Thanks, Kevin.